Well, tonight we're going to be recapping what you guys have already been going through. We're meeting on the night of the Pope's official welcome for World Youth Day in Rio. And they had a big gathering of 1 million young people on the beach. It was a beautiful, beautiful ceremony. And Pope Francis was so animated and so alive, calling people to not give in to material pleasures. That to live a simple life and to put on Christ. And don't put on the world. Don't put on the world. Put on Christ. Live simply. And he says, material pleasures give us satisfaction. They do. But compared to eternity, they are nothing. And in fact, and he must have been listening to my talks. Because he said that possessions possess us. See, the more stuff you got. Like I have to ask you guys to help us out here. Well, the more we get, the more we have to ask for. And I'm the general superior. So I have to do that little Pope John the 23rd trick. Do you know what that trick is? He was worrying about the church one night and he couldn't sleep. And finally, Jesus said to him, he says, John, he says, it's my church. Give it to me. I'll take care of it. And so the Pope said, okay, your church. It's your problem. You take care of it. And he turned over and he went right to sleep. So if we look at chapter, and I'm going to go to the Constitution of the Brothers and Sisters of Charity. While recognizing the goodness of all creation and of humankind, the lifestyle of the brothers and sisters in community is intentionally counter-cultural. We are an alternative society living within. We're not out of it. We're in it. So we're within it and alongside of modern society. That's so important. We're in the world, but not of the world, to use the language of Jesus. Because even the monks, I've been reading all about the Coptic monks, and I've been immersed in Coptic monasticism for the last, 3 weeks. And, even out there where they wander in the desert, there are really 4 different ways to be a monk in Egypt. Coptic, by the way, is just Egypt. It means Egypt. So Coptic means Egypt. So the language, Coptic language, just means Egyptian, which is an early form of Greek, by the way. If you read it, it's an early Greek derivative. There's a lot of similarities. So there are 4 different ways. One is to live in community based on the koinonia, or koinonia is the proper way to pronounce it. Most of us say koinonia, where we get the word Cenobite, which Benedictine monks, there's Benedict, see him up there on the wall. Hey, Benny, good to see you. Benedictine monasticism is cenobitical. All it means is community. Almost any time you read fellowship or community or communion in Scripture, the word in Greek is koinonia. Okay, so you'll see it. There's an intermediate place called the semi-eremitical way of life that were basically hermits that lived in colonies. And in the desert, the way these developed, by the way, was they would become more communal as it became more and more dangerous to be out there on your own. So they tended to start as scattered hermits, and then they would gather because they were under attack a lot. So they actually moved from what's called eremitism, or hermetism, into cenobitism or community life for their own protection is the reason it happened. So there's semi-eremitical life where they live in hermit cells but come together once a week. And then there are hermits who live outside the monastery in their cells and come together rarely. And there's a 4th stage. I didn't know this. And they're the ones who just wander the desert. Nobody ever sees them because they come into the monasteries for church in the middle of the night. Some people think they're only legendary. Some of the monks in Egypt swear they exist. And sometimes they're the naked ascetics. They've been in the desert so long they no longer have have clothes. Their hair is grown out. Their hair is their covering. Their beard is their covering. So, and they eat just whatever grass. And they have miraculous, the legend is that the wild animals are angels, bring them bread for the week. And if 2 or 3 of them happen to meet, the angels will bring them 2 loaves. But even they have to have bread, have to have grass. Even they are in the world, but not of the world. We cannot leave the world totally until heaven, till we die or till Jesus comes back, whichever is first. So we are in the world, but not of it. So the trick is to use creation in a good way.